All right, so are you ready to dig into something kind of different today? Valentine's Day.
Always up for a challenge.
We think we know it, right? All
Eh,
the hearts and the flowers and the chocolates.
That's
But
right.
we're going deep today with excerpts from this book, The Spiritual Meaning of Valentine's Day. Soulful guide.
Okay.
And
I'm
yeah, it
intrigued.
gets into some really interesting stuff about the origins and the deeper meanings of this holiday that we think we know.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fascinating because what we often see as this modern commercial holiday actually has roots in these ancient traditions and spiritual concepts.
It's true. So Valentine's Day has this whole secret history.
It really does.
And this article jumps right into it,
Mm.
talking about Roman festivals and a Christian martyr named Valentine.
Right.
Definitely not the first thing that comes to mind with a heart-shaped box of chocolates.
Exactly. Like when you think about it, the Romans had this festival called Lupercalia in mid-February, and it was all about fertility.
Okay.
But we're talking a lot more, animal sacrifices and matchmaking rituals than romantic dinners.
Okay, that's a side of Valentine's Day I did not know.
Yeah.
So how do we get from ancient Roman rituals
Uh-huh.
to what we know as Valentine's Day today?
Well, that's where the story of St. Valentine comes in.
Okay.
There are actually a few different versions of his story,
Really?
but they all kind of share this common thread. Valentine was a Roman priest who defied the emperor by secretly performing marriages for soldiers who were forbidden to marry.
Wow. Talk about dedicating your life to love.
Right.
That's a powerful story.
It is.
No wonder he became so associated with a day celebrating love.
Yeah, and what I find really interesting is how Valentine's Day has expanded over time to include all these different types of love.
Right, right.
Romantic love, obviously, but also the love between friends and family and, that really important aspect of self-love.
Valentine's Day has become a tapestry of all these different expressions of love all woven together over centuries.
I love that. That's a great way to put it.
Thanks. But the article also touches on the Bible.
Okay.
So how does that perspective play into the spiritual meaning of Valentine's Day?
Well, while the Bible doesn't directly mention Valentine's Day, it does have a lot to say about love as this divine gift.
Right.
This sacred connection that goes way deeper than just, fleeting emotions.
And the article even quotes that famous passage from Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind. It's really incredible how that passage kind of transcends religious boundaries.
It really does. It's pretty much universal.
It really is.
Mm.
And whether you interpret it literally or metaphorically, that definition of love, patient, kind, not boastful, it's something to aspire to
Absolutely.
in all our relationships.
For sure.
In all of them.
It's like a timeless blueprint
Yeah.
for building strong and fulfilling connections.
Yes, and it's important to remember the article really emphasizes this, that this concept of love, this agape, it's not limited to just romantic relationships.
That's a good point.
It's about this selfless and unconditional love for everyone.
Which makes a lot of sense. So even if someone isn't religious, they can still find relevance and meaning in that message of universal love. It's actually quite similar to how Valentine's Day itself has broadened beyond just romantic love, wouldn't you say?
100%. It's all about recognizing and appreciating all the many forms that love takes in our lives.
Yeah.
And, the article dives even deeper into this and outlines what it calls 9 soul-stirring messages of Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
These messages offer some really practical insights into how we can actually apply these concepts to our daily lives. So are you ready to explore those a bit?
9 soul-stirring messages, huh? I got to ask, what kind of practical insights are we talking about here?
Well, they touch on themes like forgiveness and self-love and really appreciating the present moment.
Okay.
It's all about how we can approach Valentine's Day and cultivate deeper connections with people all year round.
Okay. I am hooked. Can you give us a sneak peek at these messages?
Yeah. So the article lists them as embrace forgiveness, honor your worthiness, express your love fearlessly, embrace the gift of presence, celebrate love in all forms, nurture your inner child. You are a whole universe. Open your heart to receive. And love is a journey, not a destination.
Wow, that's quite the list.
Right.
It seems like there's something there for everyone, no matter their relationship status.
Exactly. And while each of these messages is super powerful in its own way, let's dive into a couple that I think really speak to the idea of personal growth.
Okay.
It's something I know our listeners are passionate about.
Yeah, for sure. Which ones come to mind?
Well, the first one that really stood out to me is the gift of presence.
Okay.
It's so simple, but incredibly profound,
Yeah.
especially in our fast-paced world with all these distractions,
Right.
How often do we really sit down and give our loved ones the gift of just being fully present with them?
It's true. I mean, think about it. We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Like dinner with a friend turns into scrolling through our phones,
Exactly.
or we're half listening to a loved one while we're mentally planning out our to-do list for tomorrow.
Exactly. And what this message highlights is that transformative power of just being present.
Mm-hmm.
Like putting down the phone, silencing those mental distractions, and truly tuning into the person that's right there in front of you.
Yeah.
It's about making them feel seen and heard and valued.
There's that saying, I don't know if you've ever heard it, presence is the greatest present.
I love that.
It's so true
It is.
because it's more valuable than any material gift.
Right.
And especially thinking about this in the context of Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
it's a good reminder that sometimes the most romantic gesture is really just giving someone your undivided attention.
Absolutely. And the best part about this message is that it goes way beyond just Valentine's Day.
So
This is something that we can cultivate in all of our relationships.
it's about bringing that quality of presence to our everyday interactions.
100%.
Now, what about another message that speaks to this idea of personal growth?
Well, I was really drawn to "You are a whole universe."
Ooh, I like
This
that.
one really challenges that age-old notion that we need someone else to complete us.
I love that. It's so true, though, because so often Valentine's Day can feel like it's centered around this idea of like finding your other half.
Exactly.
But this message completely flips the script.
Right. It flips the script and says no.
Yeah.
This is about you recognizing your inherent worthiness and completeness as an individual.
Yes.
It's about celebrating all of your unique qualities and passions and experiences.
So empowering. So Valentine's Day almost becomes an opportunity to celebrate your own journey of self-discovery and
Exactly.
self-love.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you are already whole and complete, and that you are capable of creating a really fulfilling and meaningful life with or without a romantic partner.
And I imagine that like embracing that message can then have this ripple effect on all your relationships.
Oh, absolutely.
When you come from a place of wholeness and self-love, you're more likely to attract like healthy and fulfilling connections with others.
100%. And it's not to say that romantic love isn't a beautiful thing,
Oh.
but it's just encouraging us to approach those relationships not from this place of neediness or lack,
Right.
but from a place of mutual respect and admiration and shared growth.
It's about like enhancing your life, not completing it.
Exactly.
Now, the article also delves into some frequently asked questions about Valentine's Day from this more spiritual perspective.
Yeah.
Do any of those stand out to you?
They're all really fascinating, but the one that I found myself thinking about the most is the question of whether the heart actually truly feels love.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because, science tells us it's all about the brain. Right?
Right. Yeah.
But there's something so intuitively resonant about the heart being like the center of our emotions.
Yeah, and the article doesn't completely disregard the science.
Right.
It acknowledges that the brain plays a huge role in processing emotions.
Yeah.
But it also explores the symbolic and spiritual significance of the heart,
Right.
which, across cultures and throughout history, the heart has always been seen as that seat of love and compassion and connection.
Yeah, it's like when we say, follow your heart,
Oh,
or she has such a big heart.
exactly.
We're not talking about the actual physical organ.
Exactly.
We're talking about something much deeper,
Yes.
more intangible.
Think about all the language that we use around love.
Mm-hmm.
Heartbreak, heartfelt, wearing your heart on your sleeve.
Right.
All of these expressions highlight this powerful connection between our hearts and our emotional experiences.
So maybe the brain is responsible for the mechanics of love,
Okay.
but the heart represents like the essence of it, the depth, the soul.
I love that. That's beautifully put. And that's what makes this whole discussion so compelling. It's acknowledging that there are multiple ways of understanding and experiencing something as complex as love.
Absolutely.
It's about recognizing that sometimes the most profound truths are beyond, logic and reason.
Totally.
And with that in mind, I think it's also important to address this other really fascinating aspect that the article explores, which is how can we actually apply all this to our lives?
Yeah.
What are the practical implications of these spiritual insights and how they relate to our own Valentine's Day celebrations?
Right.
So are you ready to kind of delve into that a bit?
For sure. I mean, I'm curious, like, how do we take these spiritual insights and apply them to our own Valentine's Day celebrations? It feels like there's an opportunity here to really move beyond just like the typical routine and create something way more meaningful.
100%. It's about shifting our focus from those like external gestures and really tuning into the internal experience of love.
Okay.
Instead of just going through the motions, ask yourself, how can I really like make this Valentine's Day a true celebration of love?
So it's about really connecting with the heart of the matter,
Exactly.
both literally and metaphorically.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
let's take that message. You are a whole universe, for example.
Okay.
Instead of, focusing on finding a Valentine, what if you use the day to celebrate your own unique journey?
That's a really cool idea. So instead of seeking completion in someone else, you're kind of affirming your own wholeness
Yes.
and celebrating all the things that make you.
Exactly. You could spend the day like exploring a passion, maybe practicing some self-care, or even just reflecting on how far you've come. It's all
Mhm.
about recognizing that your worthiness and your capacity for love, like, they don't depend on whether or not you're in a relationship.
It's about reclaiming the day and making it a celebration of self-love and personal growth.
100%. And that's just one example.
Right.
Think about the gift of presence. Imagine choosing to be fully present with your loved ones,
Hmm.
really listening and connecting on a deeper level instead of getting caught up in all the commercial aspects of the day.
It's about creating those pockets of genuine connection that
Yeah.
sometimes get lost in all the hustle and bustle.
Exactly.
Quality time over material things.
Yes. It's about intentionality.
Yeah.
Each of these 9 messages offers a different lens through which to view and celebrate Valentine's Day.
It's like having a toolkit
Yes.
for creating a more authentic and meaningful experience.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the most important thing you hope our listeners take away from this conversation?
I think the key takeaway here is that Valentine's Day is an invitation, not an obligation.
Ooh, I like that.
It's an invitation to connect with that deeper meaning of love within ourselves and in our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's an opportunity to celebrate love in all the ways that it enriches our lives, whether we're single or coupled up or somewhere in between.
That's beautifully said. It's about approaching the day with intention and authenticity and an open heart. So to all our listeners out there, as you navigate this Valentine's Day, remember to look beyond the surface and embrace that deeper meaning and spiritual richness this day has to offer.